My name is Leora Fenwick, and in Las Vegas, reputation moves faster than light. I'm 29, an event planner in a city where neon promises glow all night and lies get dressed up like confetti. Every week, I build worlds for people, weddings that cost more than small houses, corporate galas dripping in gold, themed parties that transform ballrooms into dreamscapes. But if I'm being honest, nothing about my life looked like a dream the night everything fell apart. I co-owned a boutique agency called Leora and Sloane Creative Events with a friend I trusted more than some family, Sloane Barrett. She was the charismatic one, the magnetic one, the one clients adored instantly. I was the architect, the strategist, the quiet hurricane behind the scenes. We used to joke that she was the sparkle and I was the spine. I didn't realize how close a spine comes to snapping until the night she betrayed me. It was a Thursday evening in early spring, one of those nights when the desert breeze actually feels soft. I had stayed late at our office, a tiny rented suite inside a building that overlooked the Strip. From our window, you could see the Luxor beam slicing the sky, as if spotlighting every dreamer who ever landed here. I was reviewing vendor invoices for our biggest client of the year, Valentine Tech's 1,100 guest product launch, a multi-million-dollar event that could elevate our agency into a completely different league. But something felt off. An invoice from our floral vendor was almost double what I expected. Another from the lighting company didn't match the package I remembered confirming. And one payment from the client had been routed to a completely different account. A private account. My stomach tightened. I checked again. Same result. The payment, nearly $85,000, had not gone to our business account. It went somewhere else. And the name tied to that account was Sloane Barrett. For a second, I froze. I literally couldn't breathe. It felt like someone had taken my ribs and pulled outward. My first thought was, no, this must be a mistake. She wouldn't do this. She couldn't. But then I found another vendor discrepancy. And another. Every line item I touched felt like it was waiting to bite me. My phone buzzed. A text from Valentine Tech's COO, Graham Pierce. Leora, we need to discuss something urgent. I'm calling in 5. My heart dropped so fast it felt like it fell through my feet. When he called, his voice was clipped, controlled. The kind of tone executives use when they already suspect the truth. Leora, he said, we received an email from Sloane this afternoon. She claims you misallocated client funds. She says you authorized several unapproved transfers. What? My voice cracked. That's not… I didn't… Graham, none of that is true. She also said you've been missing deadlines, he continued, and that your vendors reached out directly to us because payments were overdue. My whole body went cold. I'd never missed a deadline in my life. Vendors trusted me because I treated them like collaborators, not tools. This wasn't just a misunderstanding. It was a setup. Graham, listen to me, I said, gripping the desk edge so hard my knuckles ached. I think she's been moving funds into a personal account. I'm looking at the invoices now. The numbers don't add up. A silence stretched for a long, punishing second. Then he said the words that finished breaking the night. We can't continue with your agency. Sloane already sent us a transition plan. She will lead the event solo. Solo. She stole our client. She stole my client. She told us she's dissolving the partnership, Graham added quietly. We assumed you knew. I didn't answer. I couldn't. My mind was spinning violently, like it was trying to protect me by refusing to land anywhere. After the call ended, I sat there in the dark office, city lights flickering against the glass. Cars streamed along the strip below, people laughed on sidewalks, tourists clinked glasses at rooftop bars. Everyone in Las Vegas seemed to be celebrating something. Meanwhile, I felt like my life had been detonated from the inside. I replayed everything. Every late night, every strategy session, every moment I'd defended Sloane, covered for her, believed in her. How long had she been planning this? How many lies had she told behind my back? Was our entire friendship just a stepping stone for her career? A wave of nausea rolled through me. And then, rage. Not the loud kind, the quiet kind that feels like melting metal in your chest. I opened our shared Google Drive. Half the folders had been removed. Important documents, vendor lists, timeline templates, branding assets were missing, deleted, moved, hidden. She was scrubbing me out of our own company. By midnight, the office felt too small to hold all the hurt swelling in my chest. I grabbed my bag, locked the door, and stepped into the hallway. The air smelled like stale carpet and lemon cleaner, but it felt sharper than the night air outside. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was a message from Sloane. "Don't make this harder than it has to be. The client trusts me now. Walk away quietly, and I'll try to make sure you don't look too bad in the press." Too bad. As if she hadn't already shoved me off a cliff. My hands shook so violently I had to sit on a hallway bench. I stared at that message, replaying every fake smile she'd ever thrown me, every "you're my best friend," every toast we made to our future. And then, a second message appeared. "Also, stay out of the Valentine files. I can see you opening stuff." So she was watching. Actively. Tracking me in the shared drives. Monitoring what I clicked. My chest tightened again. I felt something click inside me. Not fear, not despair, but something colder. A realization. She thinks I'm already defeated. She thinks I'll be too humiliated, too broke, too overwhelmed to fight back. She thinks she's untouchable. But she made one mistake. She left a trail. Paperwork, invoices, payments, digital fingerprints she assumed were invisible. She forgot who handled the details, who built every dollar of our budgets, who documented everything meticulously like her life depended on it. The spine of this company wasn't broken, just bent, and I felt it straighten slowly inside me as I whispered to myself, "No, Sloane, you don't get to erase me." My phone buzzed again, but this time it wasn't Sloane. It was an unknown number. A text that read, "Leora, it's about Sloane. We need to talk. Call me immediately." I stared at the message, and my blood ran cold. The unknown number kept glowing on my screen, a tiny rectangle of dread I couldn't swipe away. I stared at it long enough for the hallway lights to flicker off, leaving me alone in the dim emergency glow. The message repeated itself in my mind. "Leora, it's about Sloane. We need to talk. Call me immediately." My pulse thudded loud enough to drown out every other thought. Part of me wanted to delete it and pretend the night hadn't gotten any darker, but another part, the part that had spent years memorizing vendor schedules and tracking budgets down to the dollar, knew better. Secrets don't stay buried. Especially not in Vegas, so I dialed. A man answered on the second ring. Low voice, slight rasp. "Is this Leora Fenwick?" "Yes, who is this?" "This is Reed Halberg. Well, technically, I'm your accountant." "My what?" I blinked. Reed sighed. "Sloane hired me 3 months ago to manage the agency's tax prep and quarterly filings. I assumed she told you." "Of course she hadn't. She reached out earlier today," he continued, "and told me she was dissolving the company and removing you from all financial accounts. But when I saw the paperwork she filed, something felt off. My grip tightened on my phone. "What kind of off?" "She filed dissolution documents under your name, not hers." I stopped breathing. "That's illegal without my consent," I whispered. "I know," Reed said quietly, "which is why I'm calling. I think you're being set up." A cold numbness spread through my body. He cleared his throat. "There are also irregularities in the bank statements, transfers I didn't authorize, payments that don't match your reported invoices. When I asked Sloane about them, she brushed me off. Told me not to contact you, that you'd just make things messier." A hot spark of indignation lit in my chest. Of course she didn't want him talking to me. She needed the silence. "Reed," I said carefully, "I think Sloane has been embezzling from our accounts." "I suspected as much," he replied, "but I didn't feel comfortable accusing anyone until I saw enough patterns. Tonight, I saw enough." I leaned back against the hallway wall, heart pounding. The air tasted like metal. He continued, voice steady. I can help you, but you need to act quickly. If she finalizes the dissolution, your liability is going to explode. Liability, the word hit like a punch. She's trying to pin everything on me, I murmured. Yes, hard. My throat tightened. Can you send me every document you have? I asked. Statements, transfers, anything. Yes, but not through your company email. I guarantee she's monitoring it. My stomach sank. Of course she was. I'll send from my personal email, I said. Text me so I can confirm it's you. Done. Before he hung up, he added, and Leora, I don't know you, but in my business, I can spot negligence versus sabotage. He paused. What's happening to you is sabotage. The line went dead. I didn't drive home that night. I didn't even make it to my car. Instead, I got into the elevator, rode down to the lobby, and ordered a rideshare to the only place that made sense. The data center where our payment platform stored backup logs. If Sloane had tampered with files, the backups would expose it. During the ride, neon lights streaked across the car windows. Pink, blue, electric white, Las Vegas glowing like a circuit board on adrenaline. My reflection looked unfamiliar, tired, betrayed, furious. The driver said, "Rough night?" I let out a breath. You have no idea. He chuckled. Vegas will do that to you. Yeah, Vegas will crush you, then flirt with you while it sweeps away the pieces. When we arrived, I scanned in using my agency ID. The guard barely glanced at me. People came in and out all the time for midnight backups. Tech doesn't sleep in this city. Inside, cold air hummed around the servers. The room felt like the opposite of the Strip. Quiet, sterile, unforgiving. I logged into the backup console, and that's when I saw it. Sloane had deleted 47 files related to Valentine Tech's event budget. 47. And the timestamps showed they were deleted over the course of 2 weeks. Slowly, carefully, always late at night when she assumed I was asleep. But the backups, they didn't lie. Every invoice she stole from, every vendor she stiffed, every fund transfer she rerouted, all of it was right there. My lungs expanded for the first time in hours. But then, something unexpected flashed on the screen. A folder she hadn't deleted. One I didn't recognize. Private, outflows, personal. I clicked it. Inside were 16 spreadsheets. Every single one was labeled. Barrett insurance transfers. Insurance? My brows knit. I opened one. It wasn't insurance. It was a list of payments. Personal expenses, shopping sprees, hotel suites, cash withdrawals, a spa membership that cost more per month than my rent, all paid for with company funds. But one detail stopped my breath cold. The file showed a recurring payment every week for the last 6 months. $4,200 to a name I didn't recognize. At first. Then I froze. It was the last name that made my stomach twist. Barrett. A family member? No. A quick database search in our CRM revealed something else. It was the legal name of the so-called vendor she insisted we work with last quarter. The vendor I'd never met. The vendor who only emailed, never called. The vendor who sent generic invoices with no branding. Fabricated, fake. She'd built an entire phantom vendor funnel to siphon money into a relative's account. My hands trembled as I stared at the proof. This wasn't simple embezzlement. This was organized theft. Planned, layered, sophisticated. And she'd been doing it long before our Valentine Tech contract. A wave of emotions crashed through me. Anger, betrayal, humiliation. But underneath all of it, something else began forming. Resolve, sharp, cold, surgical. But just as I started downloading the files, a loud ping echoed from the terminal. A message from the system. Remote access detected. User, Barrett, override requested. My heart lurched. Sloane was trying to lock me out. In real time. She knew I was here. I clicked to cancel the override. Another request flashed. Then another. She was fighting me for control of the system. I whispered, "You're not winning this one." But then, the screen went black. A forced logout. I gasped, hands flying over the keyboard. Come on, come on! The login failed. Then a final message appeared. Account disabled. Contact system administrator. My pulse thundered in my ears. She'd cut off my access entirely. And worse, she knew exactly what I had seen. Before I could process what that meant, my phone buzzed violently in my pocket. Another text. From the same unknown number as before. Not read. A new message. A single sentence. Leora, she's heading your way. Leave now. My blood turned to ice. My breath caught in my throat. She's heading your way. Leave now. The message pulsed on my screen like a warning siren. For a second, I couldn't move. The server room felt suddenly smaller, colder, like the walls were inching inward. The overhead lights hummed with an electric buzz that made my skin prickle. She can't know where I am. She can't possibly know that fast. But deep down, I knew she could. Sloane had always been quick, calculating, and disturbingly good at predicting my next step. And if she saw the remote access logs, then she knew someone was digging into what she'd buried. And there was only one person who would dare. I forced my legs to move. I yanked the flash drive from the terminal. Thank God the partial downloads had completed before she kicked me out, and shoved it into my bag. Every instinct screamed at me to run. I hurried down the main corridor, the click of my heels echoing far too loudly. My heartbeat matched the rhythm, sharp, frantic, punishing. As I reached the exit door, I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the glass panel. Wide eyes, chest heaving, adrenaline pulsing under my skin. I looked like someone fleeing a crime scene. Maybe I was. Just not the crime Sloane would accuse me of. I pushed through the door and stepped into the cool desert air. It smelled like dust and static. The parking lot was mostly empty, dimly lit by flickering street lamps. That's when I saw it. A black SUV turning into the lot. Slowly, deliberately. My stomach flipped. Even from a distance, I recognized the car. She drove it everywhere, bragging about the custom leather interior her success paid for. Fear crawled up the back of my neck. I ducked behind a row of parked cars and crouched down, pulse thrashing. The SUV drove past the entrance, headlights sweeping across the asphalt like searchlights. I held my breath as the beams passed over me, illuminating the metal frames of the cars but missing my face by inches. The SUV rolled to a stop near the door I had used. The engine idled. A silhouette stepped out. Even in the shadows, I knew the posture. Chin tilted, shoulders back, confidence dripping from every line. Sloane Barrett. She scanned the parking lot, turning slowly, predator-like. For a second, her gaze passed in my direction. I didn't move, didn't blink, didn't breathe. Finally, she turned toward the building, pulled out her phone, and started typing. Probably trying to figure out how much I saw, or how much I stole from the servers before she cut me off. I waited until the door clicked shut behind her. Then I ran. I sprinted across the lot and ducked behind the dumpsters near the back exit. My lungs burned, but I kept going until I reached the side street. Only then did I finally let myself breathe. I ordered a rideshare immediately. The driver showed up within 4 minutes, a middle-aged woman chewing mint gum and listening to soft jazz. "You okay, honey?" she asked as I slid into the back seat. "No," I breathed, "but I will be." I wasn't sure if I believed it, but saying it out loud helped. "Where to?" I hesitated. Home wasn't safe. The office wasn't safe. Anywhere predictable wasn't safe. Then an idea hit me. "My sister's house," I said. I gave her the address. 20 minutes away, tucked in an older suburb where no one from the event planning world ever went. As the car pulled away, my phone buzzed again. A message from Reed. "Are you safe?" I typed back. "For now. Sloane is here. She tried to get into the building." His reply came almost instantly. "Do not go home. She may try to intercept you." "Great," I muttered under my breath. "So I'm officially being hunted." The driver glanced at me in the rearview mirror. "You sure you're okay?" I forced a smile. "Just job drama. If she only knew." My phone buzzed again. Another message from Reed. "There's something else." I didn't want to text it. "But you need to know." A chill ran through me. "What is it?" I typed. He wrote, Sloane has been siphoning funds for years, not just from clients, from you. I frowned. What do you mean from me? He replied, she's been withdrawing from the payroll account under your name, fraudulent signatures, fake authorizations. I found over 20 withdrawals totaling more than 50K. My heart stopped. She stole from me personally. Not just the company, not just the clients. Me. Something inside me hardened. My hands curled into fists. The betrayal suddenly felt heavier, sharper, more intimate. Reed's final message arrived. Leora, she's desperate. People like her get dangerous when cornered. I stared at that message as the city lights blurred past the window. Dangerous. Yeah, I already knew. When we reached my sister's house, I paid the driver and slipped out quietly, scanning the street for any sign of that black SUV. The neighborhood was calm, dim porch lights, sleepy houses, the faint smell of someone grilling in the distance. Safe enough. I knocked softly. My sister, Cassia, opened the door wearing mismatched pajamas and holding a bowl of popcorn. Lee, what the hell, it's almost 2 a.m. I stepped in, closed the door behind me, and locked every lock on the handle. Whoa, Cassia muttered. This is either a breakup, a crime, or a nervous breakdown. Option 2, I said. Her eyebrows shot up. Explain. I sank onto her couch, elbows on my knees, and finally let the truth spill out. Every detail, every theft, every lie, every moment from the server room to the SUV. By the end, Cassia just stared at me. She stole from you, she whispered. Yeah. And she tried to trap you with fake dissolution forms? Yeah. And then she chased you? She's not going to let me walk away with those files, I said, tapping my bag. Cassia wrapped a blanket around my shoulders. You need to go to the police, she said. I shook my head. Not yet. Not without a complete trail. If I go now, she'll spin the narrative first. She's already been spreading lies to the client. So what's your plan? I inhaled sharply. Outsmart her. Cassia eyed me carefully. You've never been the revenge type. No, I agreed, feeling my pulse steady into something sharp, steady, controlled. But I've been the detail type, the planning type, the documentation type. So I'm going to build a case she can't twist. I'm going to gather every receipt, every invoice, every transfer she ever touched. And then, my jaw tightened. I'm going to make sure the right people see it. Before Cassia could respond, my phone buzzed again. A new message. From an unknown number. Not Reed. Not the previous warning. A single sentence. You think you're safe. You're not. My heart slammed into my ribs. Cassia leaned over my shoulder, eyes wide. Is that? No, I whispered. It's not her number. Another message came instantly. You should have walked away quietly. My blood turned to ice. Someone else was involved. And they knew exactly where to find me. For a long moment, I could only stare at the message glowing on my phone. You should have walked away quietly. My skin crawled. Not just because the words were threatening, but because they didn't sound like Sloane. Sloane was bold, arrogant, dramatic. If she wanted to threaten me, she'd do it with flair. She'd show her face, twist a knife with a smile, make sure I understood exactly who held the power. This message? Cold, anonymous, surgical. Someone else was in this with her? Cassia leaned closer, whispering, Leora. That's not her number. I know. Then who? A third message buzzed through. Delete what you stole. My heart hammered so hard I felt it in my teeth. They knew about the flash drive, which meant someone had eyes inside the server logs. Maybe someone who helped build the fake vendor system. Maybe someone she'd been paying. The list of possibilities felt like it grew by the second. Cassia grabbed my wrist. You need to block them. No, I whispered. If I block them, I lose the trail. She looked horrified. Trail? Lee, this is not a scavenger hunt. Someone literally chased you tonight. I'm aware, she groaned. I hate when you get like this. Like what? Cold, focused, revenge-brained. I didn't deny it. The switch had flipped. Fear was still there, but it was hardening, turning into something sharper. I messaged Reed immediately. I'm getting threats. Not from Sloane, someone else. His reply came fast. Don't respond. Don't delete anything. Screenshot and save every message. Already doing that. Good. Whoever it is, they're scared. That means you have leverage. Leverage. That word stayed with me. And for the first time since this nightmare began, the tiniest spark of power ignited in my chest. Cassia made chamomile tea, her go-to solution for everything from heartbreak to migraines, and placed a steaming mug in front of me. You need sleep. I shook my head. If they know where I am, sleep is not happening. So what? You're going to pull an all-nighter planning to outsmart a criminal? Yes, I said simply. She sighed so loudly it should have cracked the windows. But she knew me well enough not to argue. I opened my laptop, her backup one, since mine was probably compromised, and connected the flash drive. The files loaded one by one. Vendor fraud, fake invoices, ghost accounts, deleted budget entries, dozens of payments to that phantom Barrett vendor. There was enough proof here to obliterate her career and possibly send her to prison if the authorities took it seriously. But one file caught my eye. Something I hadn't opened yet. A folder labeled ET Personal Records. I clicked it. Inside were scanned bank statements, emails from loan companies, insurance letters, none of which were ours. They were Sloane's. At first, I didn't understand why she'd backed them up to a server we shared. Then I saw the dates. Every document was from years ago, before our company, before our partnership, before she came to Vegas. A cold realization slithered through me. She's done this before. I opened a tax statement from 5 years earlier, red flags everywhere, underreported income, unexplained transfers, the same pattern of ghost vendors. She'd been perfecting this system long before she ever teamed up with me. I whispered, "Oh my God." Cassia looked over. What? She didn't start stealing with me. She's been doing it for years, probably hopping between teams, agencies, contracts. And when things got too messy, she jumped ship and reinvented herself. Cassia's face went pale. Lee, you weren't just unlucky. You were her next target. The words hit harder than I wanted them to. Because deep down, I already knew. I spent the next hour organizing the files, creating a clear timeline. When the fake vendor was created, when money started being siphoned, which invoices were forged, which client payments she rerouted, which documents were deleted to cover the tracks. It was ugly, meticulous, deliberate. At 3:17 a.m., Reed texted again. I found something. Need to talk? Can I call? Yes. The moment I answered, his voice came through fast, tense. Leora, I dug deeper into the filings she submitted today. The dissolution documents aren't the worst part. My stomach clenched. What's worse than dissolving the entire company under my name? She filed tax documents claiming you were responsible for all discrepancies, under penalty of state audit. The room spun. She fabricated false statements under your signature, Reed explained. If this goes through, the IRS will assume you committed fraud. My throat tightened painfully. My entire financial life could collapse. And, he added, she listed you as the sole beneficiary of a credit line she opened illegally. What? I gasped. It's identity theft, Leora. She's been planning this for months. Maybe longer. I covered my mouth with my hand. Cassia whispered, This is insane. Reed continued. I have the withdrawal logs, the fake authorizations. I can tie every forged signature back to her. But we need one more thing. What? I breathed. Proof that she knew you were investigating her. Intent is crucial. A bitter laugh escaped me. She tried to run me off the road tonight. Does that count? What? Are you serious? Yes! Cassia yelled loud enough for him to hear. Reed exhaled. Then we're running out of time. She won't let this go quietly. So what do we do? I asked. There was a pause. Then Reed asked a question I didn't expect. Leora, do you want to press charges? I hesitated. For months, Sloane had been folding herself into every corner of my life, lying, stealing, manipulating, destroying everything I built. She'd hunted me tonight. She'd threatened me. Someone working with her was threatening me now, but pressing charges meant war. A real one. Not just digital or emotional. Legal war. Life-changing. Ruining her for good. Leora? Reed asked again. My voice came out low, shaking but certain. Yes. And then. I'm done letting her write the story. Cassia grabbed my hand. Reed continued. Okay, if that's your decision, there's one more thing we need. What is it? I asked. Proof of motive, he said. Something that shows exactly why she targeted you. Motive. My mind raced. What would prove that? Then something clicked. Her early documents, her past scams, her trail of abandoned jobs and sudden reinventions. She hadn't targeted me because I was weak. She targeted me because I was valuable. Because I was the one who built the budgets, who handled the money, who made the company functional. She needed me. Until she didn't. I know where to find her motive, I whispered. Reed said, Where? I stared at the final unopened folder on the flash drive. A folder I hadn't dared touch yet. Psych evaluations. My pulse spiked. Cassia whispered, What the hell is that? I double-clicked. The folder opened. Inside were 3 documents. The first one loaded automatically. A clinical evaluation. A single phrase at the top of the page made my breath stop cold. Client, Sloane Barrett. Diagnosis, compulsive financial malpractice syndrome. My blood froze. Sloane wasn't just a thief. She was a compulsive one. A trained manipulator with a psychological pattern. And she had been evaluated for it. Cassia gasped. Leora, this is her motive. Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. A new message. From the same unknown number. You just crossed a line you can't uncross. My hands went cold. The message hit like a punch to the sternum. You just crossed a line you can't uncross. My fingers tightened around the phone, knuckles whitening. A cold wave swept through me, a mix of fear, adrenaline, and something else brewing underneath. Anger. Not the explosive kind. The steady, bone-deep kind that comes when you finally understand just how thoroughly you've been played. Cassia whispered. Leora, whoever that is, they know exactly when you open those files. I know. This is bad. I know. And you're weirdly calm right now. She wasn't wrong. I was calm. Calmer than I should have been for someone being actively threatened by a thief, a liar, and possibly her accomplice. But that evaluation, those words on the screen, had shifted something inside me. Compulsive financial malpractice syndrome, a pattern of manipulation, a cycle of fraud, a documented diagnosis. This wasn't a one-time betrayal. This wasn't personal. This was pathological. And I was simply her newest chapter. Not anymore. I opened the second psychological evaluation. This one was older, dated 7 years back, performed in another state, a different therapist. The report detailed incidents from a previous job, discrepancies in finances, ghost vendors, a corporate credit card, misplacement. All too familiar. The document ended with a chilling line. Client exhibits a recurring pattern, forming close professional partnerships and exploiting them financially. Presents high charisma, low empathy, and calculated risk-taking. The air left my lungs. She'd been doing this for years. Dozens of victims. Dozens of stolen businesses. I'd walked right into her pattern, smiling. The final document was shorter, 2 pages. A note from a therapist she apparently saw only once before disappearing. The therapist wrote, Client believes she is smarter than systems, shows no remorse, views consequences as delays, not deterrents, highly skilled at social engineering. Cassia let out a shaky exhale. Lee, you were never going to win by playing nice. No, I said softly, but now I'm not playing. My phone buzzed again. Another message from the unknown number. Stop digging. And then, if you don't, you'll regret it. I read them slowly, lips tightening. Then I did something I knew they wouldn't expect. I typed back. Too late. Cassia slapped my arm. What are you doing? Fishing, I said calmly. They're already watching. They already know what I saw. I want them rattled. Another buzz. You're making a mistake. Walk away. Final warning. I stared at the messages, the pattern, the timing, the tone. Then it clicked. This wasn't just someone working with her. This was someone she trusted. Deeply. Someone with access. Someone who felt invested in protecting her. There weren't many candidates like that. Maybe a relative. Maybe a partner. Maybe the person receiving the siphoned money through the phantom vendor. The Barrett name. Lee, Cassia said gently. You need to tell Reed. I nodded and texted him. New threat. Someone else is involved. They know everything. Reed responded immediately. I had a feeling. Sloane doesn't run these scams alone. There's usually a middleman. Any guesses? Not yet. But we'll find out. For now, keep everything documented. I took screenshots of every message, saved backups, uploaded them to a secure drive, my mind moving faster than my fear. Around 4:30 a.m., exhaustion finally clawed at me, but my adrenaline wouldn't let me sleep. Instead, I paced Cassia's small living room, trying to piece together the puzzle. What's your next move? She asked, pulling her knees to her chest on the couch. Build a timeline, I said. Then a strategy. I need to make sure the evidence I have can't be discredited. Reed can help with that. He can, but there's something bigger. Cassia frowned. Bigger than identity theft and fraud? Yes, I said. Narrative. Excuse me? Sloane controls the narrative right now. She's already told the client I'm the problem. She filed paperwork blaming me. She probably has a dozen rehearsed speeches ready if anything escalates. Cassia squinted. And I need to get ahead of her, I said. Not just legally, publicly. Her eyes widened. Lie. Are you thinking what I think you're thinking? Yes. You want to expose her? Yes. Online? Yes. With your face? A long silence stretched between us. Finally, I said, with the truth. A soft knock at the door made us both freeze. My heartbeat slammed against my ribs. Cassia whispered, Did you call anyone? No. We held our breath. Another knock. Softer this time, like someone trying not to scare us. Cassia tiptoed to the peephole. She looked, and her shoulders dropped. Oh, thank God, she whispered, swinging the door open. It was Reed. He stood in the doorway, disheveled and pale, holding a laptop bag like it was a life raft. Sorry, he said breathlessly. I didn't want to text this. My stomach tightened. What happened? I found the middleman. The room went still. Reed stepped inside and closed the door behind him, lowering his voice. The person threatening you, the one sending those texts, it's not a hired accomplice. It's not a vendor. It's not a stranger. He opened his laptop, typed rapidly, turned it around. A name glowed on the screen. A name tied to multiple transfers. A name tied to the fake vendor account. A name tied to the warning messages. Marcel Barrett. My lips parted. Her cousin? Reed nodded grimly. Yes. And he's not just her cousin. He's her financial handler. Her fixer. The one who cleans the paper trail after every scam. My pulse quickened. So he's been helping her for years. Longer, Reed said. Much longer. He clicked another file. A news article popped up. Headline. Local accountant implicated in embezzlement ring. Charges dropped due to missing evidence. The photo under it. Marcel Barrett. My breath hitched. Oh my God. He's the one threatening you, Reed said. He's been laundering the money through that ghost vendor account. Cassia covered her mouth. But here's the part you need to understand, Reed continued. Marcel isn't just cleaning up after her. He's the reason she never gets caught. He's the one who teaches her how to cover her tracks. A cold rush swept over me. So he'll do anything to protect her, I whispered. Anything, Reed confirmed. A silence hung in the air. Then he added, and he knows you're the first person who ever got this close. My throat tightened, because I knew that was true. Reed slowly sank onto the couch. Leora, this is no longer just about Sloane stealing from you. This is about you being a threat to their operation, I whispered. Then we exposed them both. Reed looked at me carefully. Are you sure? A slow, steady certainty washed over me. Yes. Before he could respond, my phone buzzed one more time. A new message from Marcel. If you don't stop now, you won't like what happens next. I stared at the message. Then I said something I never thought I'd say out loud. Then let's make sure I hit first. For a long moment, none of us spoke. Reed sat stiffly on the couch. Cassia hovered near the doorway like she expected it to burst open at any second. And me? I felt something inside click into place. Not fear, not panic. Focus. The kind of clarity that only arrives after you realize you're already in the fire, and the only way out is through it. I looked at Reed. We need a plan. He nodded. I came with one. Cassia exhaled shakily. Please tell me it doesn't involve going anywhere near that woman. Actually, Reed rubbed the back of his neck. It kind of does. Cassia groaned. I hate this plan already. I leaned forward. Explain. Reed opened his laptop again. On the screen was a map of Las Vegas with several pins. These are all the locations tied to Sloane's past jobs, he said. The companies she left abruptly. The agencies that refused to give references. The people who filed complaints that never went anywhere. Because Marcel erased the evidence, I murmured. Exactly. Reed tapped one of the pins. This one, though, this company kept copies of their internal audits. The owner locked them in storage after their accountant discovered financial discrepancies. My breath caught. You found someone else she scammed. She didn't just scam them, Reed said. She destroyed them. This event firm folded. The owner lost everything. Filed bankruptcy. Moved out of state. Cassia's jaw dropped. She wiped out an entire business? She tried, Reed corrected. But the owner suspected something was never settled. She kept backup files in her storage unit and, well, he looked up sharply. Tomorrow morning, she's flying in. My stomach tightened. Why? Because I called her. Cassia whispered. Reed, what did you do? I told her someone finally gathered enough evidence to expose the Barrett scam cycle, and she said she'd get the next flight. I blinked. You're saying, I said slowly, that another one of Sloane's victims is coming here. In person. Yes, Reed said. And she's furious. She wants justice. A tremor of both hope and dread ran through me. If what she had matched what I had, together, it could burn Sloane's entire empire to the ground. But hope was fragile, and danger was very, very real. Okay, I said. What's the plan? Reed took a breath. We build a case file that can't be destroyed. We back up everything. We link her past crimes with her current scam. And before she realizes how much we know, we take everything to the client, the authorities, and the press. Cassia shook her head. You're talking about a full-scale exposure. Yes, Reed said. Because that's the only thing that stops people like her. I sat back, the weight of the truth settling over me. Exposing her publicly meant risking everything. My name, my career, my safety. But not exposing her? That wasn't survival, that was surrender. And I wasn't surrendering. We spent the next hour outlining steps. Organize the digital documents in chronological order. Create copies stored offline, online, in the cloud, and on multiple drives. Separate files by category: fraud, identity theft, tax manipulation, ghost vendors, personal siphoning. Prepare an emergency report in case something happened before we could deliver the evidence. It was surreal, planning for a situation where someone might try to destroy us before we destroyed them. Cassia interrupted the quiet tension. I don't want to freak anyone out, but how dangerous is Marcel? Reed's jaw tightened. Dangerous enough that you shouldn't go anywhere alone. Ever. My skin prickled. Is he violent? Cassia pressed. Not physically, not that I could find, Reed said. But psychologically, professionally, he's ruthless. He ruins people quietly, efficiently, permanently. I swallowed hard. This wasn't just about exposing theft anymore. This was survival. Around dawn, the first gray light crept through Cassia's blinds. The world outside felt muted, heavy with the weight of everything coming. Reed rubbed his eyes. We should take a break. No, I said instantly. If we stop, they get ahead. Leora, you haven't slept. I'll sleep when she's exposed. Cassia placed a hand on my shoulder. You're scaring me. Good, I murmured, because that's how serious this is. My phone buzzed again. All three of us stiffened. I picked it up slowly. Another message from Marcel. You're still awake. Impressive. My breath hitched. He was watching. Watching us. Watching me. Somehow. A second message followed. We know where you are. Stop this before it gets worse. Cassia's face drained of color. Reed grabbed his bag. We're leaving, now. But, no arguments, he snapped. If they know your location, this apartment isn't safe. Cassia's voice trembled. Are they coming here? I don't know, Reed said. But we're not taking the risk. I shoved the flash drive into my pocket, grabbed my laptop, rolled up the blanket around me. My hands were shaking, but my resolve wasn't. We bolted out the back door, down the stairs, and into the alley behind her building. The early morning air was cold enough to sting. Reed's car was parked half a block away. We sprinted toward it. Halfway there, a dark sedan turned onto the street. Slow, too slow. Reed muttered, Don't look, just move. But I did look, because I recognized the tint on the windows. Marcel's car. My pulse exploded in my ears. Faster, Reed hissed. We reached the car. Reed threw open the doors. We dove inside. The sedan slowed as it passed the alley. For a split second, I swear, someone inside turned their head toward us. I couldn't see a face, just a silhouette. A silhouette watching, waiting. The sedan paused at the stop sign, just long enough to let us know it saw us. Then it drove off. My breath shuddered out of me. Cassia gripped my hand tight. Leora, they're not playing. I know. Reed slammed the car into gear. We're going somewhere they can't track you. Where? I asked. He exhaled. A friend's office? A lawyer? Someone who doesn't owe Sloane a damn thing. My heart pounded as the city blurred outside the windows. Not fear now. Determination. If Marcel wanted to hunt me, if Sloane wanted to silence me, if both of them wanted to erase me, then they were about to learn something. I don't disappear. I don't back down. I don't die quietly. I turned to Reed. Once we get there, we finalize the strategy. He nodded. And then, I said, voice steady, we take this to the one person Sloane never expected to turn against her. Reed raised an eyebrow. Who? I stared out the window as the strip came into view, bright, loud, glittering with lies. The Valentine Tech client, I said. Graham Pierce. Reed's car cut through the early morning traffic, the Las Vegas Strip glowing like a crown of neon fire. It was barely 6 a.m., but the city was already pulsing with noise. Slot machines ringing, poolside DJs warming up, workers sweeping yesterday off the sidewalks. But inside the car, everything felt silent. Too silent. I sat in the back seat, clutching the flash drive so tightly my palm ached. Cassia sat beside me, eyes darting nervously between buildings, alleys, and passing cars, like she was expecting Marcel or Sloane to appear at any second. Reed kept one hand on the steering wheel and one tapping anxiously on his thigh. We're close, he said. My friend's office doesn't show up in public listings. It's safe. Safe feels like a myth right now, Cassia muttered. I didn't say anything, because she wasn't wrong. But the silence inside me wasn't fear anymore. It was calculation. Every second that passed, every street we turned down, every move they made, it all fed the fire building in my chest. I wasn't running, not anymore. I was preparing. We pulled into an underground garage beneath a quiet office building far from the strip. The structure looked abandoned, windows dark, doors locked, no signs posted. It was the kind of place no one paid attention to, and that made it perfect. Reed parked, grabbed his laptop, and motioned for us to follow him to a metal side door. He typed a code into a keypad hidden behind a rusted electrical box. The door clicked open. Inside, he said. We entered a narrow hallway lit by a single flickering bulb. It smelled like old paint and lemon cleaner. Reed, I whispered. Who exactly is this friend? You'll meet her soon, he said. She's intense, but she's on our side. That didn't reassure me. Nothing about today felt reassuring, but I followed him anyway. At the end of the hallway, he knocked twice, paused, then knocked once. A deadbolt slid open. A woman in her late 30s opened the door. Sharp eyes, black blazer, hair in a neat bun. She looked like someone who'd won fights you didn't talk about. "You're late," she said. Reed exhaled. "Good morning to you too, Adrienne." "You brought the girl?" Adrienne asked, looking straight at me. I straightened. "My name is Leora." Her gaze softened a millimeter. "Come in." Her office looked nothing like the hallway outside. Multiple monitors lined the walls. Papers were stacked in controlled chaos. A whiteboard was covered in arrows, dates, diagrams, and nicknames, clearly ongoing investigations. It wasn't messy. It was strategic. Adrienne motioned us to sit. "I read what Reed sent last night," she began, hands clasped. "And let me make this clear. This isn't fraud done by amateurs. Sloane and Marcel run a sophisticated, repeatable scam. What you uncovered isn't the beginning. It's the end of a very long pattern." Cassia leaned forward. "So you believe her?" Adrienne shot her a look sharp enough to slice steel. "I don't deal in belief. I deal in proof. And your sister has plenty." My stomach tightened. "Then what do we do?" I asked. Adrienne pulled a legal pad toward her. "You do 3 things," she said. "Quickly, before they counter." She held up one finger. "First, you take everything you have and duplicate it in a way Marcel can't wipe." "I already uploaded files to a cloud drive," I said. Adrienne smirked. "And if Marcel breaches it?" "He won't." "He will," she corrected. "Men like him always do. He infiltrates financial systems for fun. So we build multiple redundancies." She pointed to a stack of encrypted drives. "These are offline, air-gapped. He can't touch them." I nodded and began copying files. Adrienne held up a second finger. "Second, you must get ahead of the narrative. Before Sloane spins this." I inhaled sharply. "With the client." "Yes," Adrienne said. "Graham Pierce is key. He's respected, connected. If he believes you, others will." Reed added, "And he's already suspicious of Sloane. He just doesn't realize why yet." Adrienne held up a third finger. "Third, you bring in the previous victim." "The woman who's flying in?" I asked. Adrienne nodded. "She arrived 20 minutes ago. She's outside waiting to meet you." My breath caught. "She's ready to testify," Adrienne said. "She wants her life back." Something inside me cracked quietly. Not pain, but a sense of solidarity I didn't expect. I wasn't alone. There were others she'd hurt. Others who'd lost more than I had. Others who never got the chance to fight back. But I did. And I could use my fight for all of us. Adrienne stood. "Let's bring her in." When the door opened again, a woman stepped inside. Mid-40s, tired eyes, sharp cheekbones. A quiet strength, like someone who'd been burned but survived the fire anyway. She extended her hand to me. "I'm Delphine Rourke." I shook it gently. "Leora." She looked at me with a sad, knowing smile. "You're living the nightmare I lived 5 years ago," she said. "And I'm going to make sure you don't end up like I did." My throat tightened. "What did she do to you?" Delphine sat beside me. "Everything she's doing to you. Identity theft, fake vendors, siphoning, false dissolutions. But worse." "Worse?" Delphine nodded. "She didn't just steal money. She destroyed my reputation so thoroughly that I couldn't work in the industry anymore." I swallowed. "How?" "She leaked falsified audits to my clients, told them I forged my own invoices, told them I was under investigation. My company collapsed in 3 months." My chest tightened. "And she walked away clean," Delphine added, "because Marcel deleted every digital trace that tied her to it," Cassia whispered. "That could have been Leora." Delphine's eyes landed on me again. "It will be you," she said, voice steady. "Unless you hit her first." I nodded slowly. "We're going to expose her," I said. "No," Delphine corrected softly. "You're going to bury her." We spent the next 2 hours building a battle plan. Delphine gave us her archived reports and financial statements. Adrienne drafted legal protections and media options. Reed compiled timelines and cross-referenced transactions. Piece by piece, the puzzle formed itself. Sloane wasn't just a manipulator, she was a system, a machine, a professional con artist. And she had no idea how much we now knew. But as we were finishing a packet to present to Graham, my phone buzzed. I expected Marcel, but it wasn't him. It was worse. Sloane, a single message. I hear you've been busy. Let's talk. In person. My stomach flipped. Reed swore under his breath. Do not respond. Another message came instantly. If you don't meet me today, the story that reaches the client will ruin you. Adrienne muttered. She's trying to bait you. Don't fall for it, Delphine added. That's how she traps you. But something about the phrasing made my skin crawl. Because Sloane wasn't bluffing. She already had access to the client. She'd already poisoned my reputation once. If I didn't control this meeting, she would. I inhaled deeply. She wants a face-to-face, I said. Fine. Cassia grabbed my arm. Leora, no, I'm not going alone, I said. And I'm not going to let her corner me. Reed narrowed his eyes. You're planning something. I nodded. Yes. Where? Adrienne asked. I turned toward the whiteboard, toward a location circled earlier during planning. A public place. Cameras everywhere. Security everywhere. Crowds. Noise. Witnesses. The Valentine Tech event venue, I said quietly. She wants a meeting? I looked up, feeling the fire sharpen in my chest. Then she can meet me where this all started. The Valentine Tech venue looked different in daylight. Emptier. Quieter. Stripped of the illusions I'd spent weeks creating. It was a massive glass and steel convention hall on the east side of the Strip, the kind of place where billion-dollar deals were made under LED spotlights and catered sushi. I used to love this place. Now it felt like a battlefield. Reed parked 3 blocks away, per Adrienne's warning that Marcel might have eyes on the building's perimeter. Cassia stayed behind with Delphine in Adrienne's office, both of them glued to a backup feed of our location in case things went sideways. I stepped out of the car, the morning heat already rising off the asphalt. My heartbeat thudded hard and steady, like a war drum. You remember the rules? Reed said quietly, walking beside me. Yes. No going anywhere without cameras. Right. No stepping into private rooms, no hallways, no storage areas. Got it. No letting her get physically close. I know. And if she or Marcel tries anything, I walk away, I finished. I don't engage. Reed nodded, but he didn't look reassured. We approached the front entrance. Security guards were stationed outside, but none of them gave us a second glance. Inside, the lobby was bright and echoing, with marble floors that made every footstep sound like a threat. I checked my phone. No new messages, which somehow made everything worse. Reed walked me to the event hall's main doors, but before entering, he stopped me with a hand on my arm. Leora, he said softly, she wants something from you today. Information, leverage, fear. Don't give her any of it. I nodded, swallowing the knot in my throat. Then I pushed open the doors. The hall was half set for the event. Tables arranged, light rigs installed, screens powered off but looming overhead. It looked like the skeleton of the spectacle it was supposed to become, and standing dead center under a dangling spotlight was Sloane Barrett. Her back was to me, her posture immaculate as always, shoulders straight, chin lifted, hair curled at the ends. She wore a white blazer sharp enough to cut glass. She turned slowly when she heard my footsteps. Her smile was small and cold. There you are, she said, finally. Hearing her voice again was like swallowing ice. Sloane, I said. She looked me up and down, eyes gleaming with something predatory. I have to admit, you surprised me. I expected you to hide, or flee, or crumble. I held her gaze. You expected wrong. Oh, I see that now. She tilted her head. You're angrier than I anticipated. I'm not angry, I said. I'm done. Her smile flickered as if irritated. Let's talk, she said, motioning toward a high-top table. Privately. No, she blinked. Excuse me? We talk here, I said. In the open. A pause. Then she laughed softly, shaking her head. God, Leora, you've always been so dramatic when you're cornered. You cornered the wrong person. Her eyes sharpened. Or the right one. She took a step closer, ignoring Reed standing a few yards behind me. I know you accessed the server backups last night, she said. Very bold of you. Very stupid. Deleting company files was stupid, I replied calmly. Stealing $85,000 was stupid. Creating fake vendors, stupid. Siphoning money from me personally, stupid. Her face twitched, barely, but I saw it. You have no idea what you're talking about, she said coolly. Oh, I think I do. Sloane's eyes narrowed, calculating. Then she exhaled, letting the veneer of civility crack just a bit. Look, she said, lowering her voice. We both know this partnership was ending eventually. You're talented, sure, but not built for the pressures of this industry. You freeze. You overthink. You need someone like me to lead. I stared at her. Lead, I repeated. Is that what you call stealing? She smiled like a snake. Survival. And what was I supposed to do? I asked. Lose my job? My reputation? My life savings? She shrugged. Collateral damage. My stomach twisted. You are unbelievable. No, she said, stepping closer. I'm necessary. Another step. People like you build things. People like me use them. That's how this works. It always has. I felt something inside me ignite. You don't get to rewrite this story, I said. Oh, but I already did. Her smile widened. Graham believes me, the client believes me, and unless you cooperate, they will keep believing me. So that's why you're here, I said, to force my silence. No, she said, to offer you a deal. Of course, the trap, the manipulation. What deal? I asked. She clasped her hands behind her back. Casual, confident, dangerous. You walk away, she said. Leave Las Vegas. Don't contact Valentine Tech again. Don't speak to vendors. And don't mention my name to anyone. Ever. I felt Reed shift behind me, tense. And what do I get? I asked. You get your peace, she said smoothly. And your anonymity. Nobody will know you were involved in the financial confusion. Confusion, I repeated, almost laughing. If you don't take the deal, Sloane said, voice dropping low, your life will get very, very complicated, and I don't mean professionally. Cold prickled across my arms. There it was, the real threat. You're threatening me? I asked. No, she said. Marcel is. My blood turned to ice. That was the first time she said his name out loud. Sloane. I said slowly. I know who he is. I know what he does. And I know how he helps you. Her face froze, then cracked. Just a little. Be careful, Leora, she whispered. You don't know what you're dealing with. Oh, but I do. I pulled the flash drive from my pocket. Sloane's eyes locked onto it instantly. You didn't, she breathed. I did, I said. And I'm not alone. Her expression changed. Truly changed, for the first time. Something like fear flickered through her eyes. You don't have proof, she snapped. I have everything. She stepped closer, too close. Give it to me, she said sharply. No, she lunged for it. Reed jumped forward instantly, placing himself between us. Back off, he barked. Sloane froze. Her breath came fast. Her hands trembled slightly. Her pupils were blown wide. She wasn't calm anymore. She wasn't charming. She wasn't polished. She was cornered. You don't understand, she whispered. If you share those files... I will, I said. You destroy yourself too. No, I said softly. I destroy you. Her jaw clenched. Graham won't believe you. Yes, I said, he will. How? I stepped forward until we were inches apart. Because I'm meeting him, I whispered. Today. Her eyes widened. No, she breathed. No, you can't. I'm done letting you speak for me, I said. Her entire body went rigid. Then her voice turned cold as stone. You've made a catastrophic mistake, Leora. I stared at her. No, I replied. You did. At that moment, a security guard walked into the hall, unaware of the tension thick as smoke. Sloane Barrett? He called. Her head snapped toward him. Yes? Graham Pierce is here to see you, the guard said. He's asking for both of you. My heart lurched. Sloane's face went pale. Reed whispered, Game time. I swallowed hard and followed the guard toward the conference rooms. With Sloane's furious footsteps echoing behind me, My heart hammered against my ribs as the guard led us down the long hallway toward the executive conference rooms. Every step felt heavier than the one before it. Behind me, Sloane walked like a shadow, silent but charged, fury tightening every inch of her posture. Reed stayed at my side, close enough that our shoulders almost brushed, grounding me with his presence. We rounded a corner and entered a quieter corridor lined with glass-walled meeting rooms. At the far end, a tall man in a navy suit stood with his back to us, phone pressed to his ear. Graham Pierce. He turned when he heard us approaching. His expression froze the moment his eyes landed on me. Leora, he said slowly, I didn't expect to see you here. Sloane stepped forward before I could speak, navigating the space like she owned it. Graham, she said warmly, voice dripping with faux concern. Thank you for coming. I wanted to clarify a few things before this gets out of hand. He raised an eyebrow. Out of hand? Sloane, you emailed me last night telling me the company was dissolved and the event would proceed under your leadership. What exactly needs clarifying? The slightest twitch pulled at her jaw. She wasn't used to being challenged. Some issues have come up, she said carefully, regarding Leora's behavior. My blood heated. Reed took a quiet breath beside me, ready. I stepped forward. Graham, I said, controlling my voice. Before you hear anything else, I need you to know something very important. He looked at me directly. I held up the flash drive. I have proof, I said, that Sloane stole client funds, fabricated vendors, rerouted payments to her own accounts, deleted company documents, forged my signature, and tried to dissolve our business illegally, under my name. Sloane let out a sharp laugh. Oh, come on, Leora, she snapped. This paranoia has gone too far. Stop. Graham held up a hand. I want to hear what she has. Sloane's face dropped. Just slightly, but I saw it. Fear. Real fear. I nodded, pulling out my laptop as Reed stepped forward with a folder of printed documents. Graham frowned. You brought paperwork? Yes, Reed said. Financial records, bank statements, vendor discrepancies, tax filings, and forensic reconstructions of deleted files. Graham blinked. This looks serious. It is, Reed said, and it's only the beginning. Sloane stepped between us like a storm cloud, her voice rising. Graham, don't let them drag you into this circus. Leora has been unstable for months. She's under incredible stress. She missed deadlines, mismanaged funds, and left me scrambling to fix her mistakes. This is her way of deflecting blame. I turned to her slowly. That would be convincing, I said softly, if it weren't for one thing. Her eyes narrowed. What? I opened the folder labeled Barrett Insurance Transfers. The color drained from her face. This, I said, is the paper trail. One by one, I laid out the evidence on the conference table. Fake vendor invoices, wire transfers, deleted logs, screenshots of siphoned funds, recurring payments to Marcel Barrett, recordings of timestamps linked to her login credentials, and the psychological evaluations. Sloane stiffened. Where did you get those? She hissed. You left them in the server backup, I said. You forgot that I'm the one who designed our filing system. Graham's jaw clenched. Sloane? He asked quietly. She swallowed, but her voice shook only a little. None of this is real. They're fabricated. Obviously fabricated. Reed spoke up. They've been independently verified. By who? Him? She jabbed a finger at Reed. He's just an accountant. Not just, Reed said calmly. And you know that. Her lip curled. I turned back to Graham. Look, if you don't trust my documents, talk to the other victims. Victims, he echoed. Reed opened another folder. This is Delphine Rourke, he said. A former event firm owner from Sloane's previous city. Sloane ran the same scam on her 5 years ago. Destroyed her business. Framed her. Marcel wiped the digital evidence before investigators could act. Graham looked like someone had hit him. Sloane tried to speak again, but he shut her down. Enough, she froze. Graham walked to the window, staring out at the strip far below. When he turned back, his expression was unreadable. Leora, he said, if everything you're showing me is genuine, then you didn't just get framed. You got hunted. My throat tightened. Yes, I said quietly, by both of them. Graham nodded once. Then he faced Sloane. I'll need access to your personal records, bank statements, email accounts, login credentials. Her expression twisted, fear and rage swirling beneath the surface. No, she said sharply, absolutely not. If you refuse, Graham said, I will terminate your contract immediately and file a fraud investigation. Sloane's mask cracked. Her voice turned ice cold. You have no idea who you're dealing with. Graham folded his arms. That line, he said dryly, usually means someone has something to hide. A tremor ran through her. I'd never seen her like this. Out of control, unraveling, her confidence fraying like loose thread. She spun toward me suddenly. You think you've won? She spat. You think this is over? No, I said calmly. But your story is. Her fists clenched. Marcel won't let this stand, she whispered. You've made an enemy you can't fight. Graham snapped sharply. You're threatening her in front of a witness? Sloane froze. Then she took a step back, eyes burning into mine. You're going to regret this. I lifted my chin. No, I said. I'm going to end this. Before she could respond, a security guard hurried over. Mr. Pierce, he said breathlessly, there's someone demanding to see you, causing a disturbance outside. Graham frowned. Who? He said his name is Marcel. My blood iced. Reed tensed beside me. Graham's expression hardened. Sloane, is that? But she didn't answer. She bolted. Ran past the guard, down the hall, toward the main lobby. Hey! The guard yelled, sprinting after her. Reed cursed under his breath. Graham looked at me urgently. What do you want to do? I swallowed hard. Because the truth was, the moment had come. The moment where everything she'd built was about to come crashing down in real time. I straightened. We finish it, I said. Reed nodded, grabbing the evidence folder. Graham motioned for us to follow. Together, we ran after Sloane. We sprinted down the hallway, the air vibrating with tension so sharp it felt like it could slice skin. Sloane's heels clicked like rapid gunshots against the marble floor ahead of us, echoing through the lobby. By the time we reached the entrance, the scene had already exploded. Security was trying, unsuccessfully, to restrain a man shouting at the top of his lungs. Tall, broad, cold-eyed. Marcel Barrett. He was exactly as dangerous as his texts had made him sound, calculated, controlled. Except now, cracks were visible, rage distorting the sharpness of his features. Sloane grabbed his arm the moment she reached him. Marcel, stop, she hissed. Not here. He jerked his arm away. This is out of control, he snapped. You said you could handle it. I was handling it, until she showed up with a circus. His gaze swung toward me like a hooked blade. You. My pulse jumped, but I didn't move. Reed stepped slightly in front of me. Marcel took one step forward, and 3 security guards moved to block him. Back off, one said. Sir, this is a private facility. Shut up, Marcel growled, shoving past. Marcel! Sloane grabbed his shirt. Stop. You're making it worse. No, I finally said. They're making it clear. They both turned toward me. Their faces, a twisted mirror of fury and fear, belonged to people who had lived years untouchable. Until today, Sloane's eyes were wild. You think this ends with a few fake spreadsheets? They're not fake, I said. And you know it. Marcel's lip curled. People like you never learn, do they? You could have walked away. We even gave you a warning. You threatened me, I corrected. You followed me. You tried to corner me. And you should have taken the hint. Graham stepped between us with surprising authority. Mr. Barrett, he said firmly, this is now a corporate matter. If you continue, security will. But Marcel wasn't listening. His eyes darted between the guards, the exit, and the flash drive in my hand. You have no idea what you're doing, he said. You're dismantling a system bigger than you. No, I said quietly. I'm dismantling you. Sloane snapped. I didn't do anything you can prove, she screamed. You have nothing that ties me to those transfers. I stepped forward, calm, steady. You deleted 47 files. You rerouted $85,000. You created a vendor named after your cousin. You filed false dissolution documents with my forged signature. You siphoned my payroll checks. You stole from Valentine Tech. And you left psychological evaluations with your name on them in our shared server. Her face went blank. You're lying, she whispered. No, I said. I'm done lying for you. I held out the flash drive. Sloane Barrett, this is every crime you tried to hide. Graham turned to security. Call Metro Police. A spark of true panic crossed Sloane's face. No, she gasped. Graham! Graham! Listen to me! He shook his head. Enough. Marcel lunged. Not at me. At Graham. He grabbed for the flash drive, but Reed blocked him, shoving him backward. Security swarmed in, tackling him. The chaos erupted like a violent storm, shouts, clattering, struggling limbs. But all I saw was Sloane. She backed away slowly, shaking her head as if trying to rewrite reality in real time. This isn't happening, she whispered. This isn't happening. Yes, I said softly. It is. Tears gathered in her eyes, not sadness, but rage, humiliation, disbelief. You were nothing without me, she spat. You were the quiet one, the helper. You think people will believe you over me? Her voice cracked. You think Graham will choose you? Graham answered before I could. I believe evidence, he said flatly. And the evidence condemns you. Sloane trembled. You don't understand, she whispered. I never meant to hurt anyone. I needed control. I needed to survive. I shook my head. No, I said gently. You needed consequences. For the first time, she seemed small, like all the charisma and manipulation she'd built her world upon had evaporated. Security cuffed Marcel. He fought, snarled, but they pinned him hard. One officer stepped forward. Ma'am, he said to Sloane, we need you to remain still. What? She breathed. You're under investigation for multiple counts of fraud, embezzlement, identity theft, and tampering with corporate records, the officer said. You need to come with us. The color drained from her face. Leora, she whispered, her voice cracking. Please, don't let them do this to me. I stared at her. This woman who stole from me, who tried to ruin me, who tried to erase me. Goodbye, Sloane, I said. The officers escorted her away. Her screams echoed down the hall. When the chaos finally settled, Graham turned to me. Leora, he said quietly, I owe you an apology. I shook my head. No, you trusted the information you had, and that information came from the wrong person, he said grimly. I want you to know, I believe everything you showed me, and I want you back on this event. The words hit me harder than I expected. You want me to lead it? Yes, he said. You were always the reason this event was running well. I just didn't see it because Sloane was so good at controlling perception. My chest tightened. Thank you, I whispered. Reed nudged me lightly. Told you he'd come around. I laughed weakly. But Graham wasn't finished. I'm also offering something else, he said. A retainer contract for future events. Long-term partnership. My breath caught. Security guards walked Marcel and Sloane down the hall in handcuffs, while Graham Pierce offered me a future I never thought I'd get back. It felt unreal. Hopeful. Powerful. Back at Adrienne's office, Cassia and Delphine were waiting. The moment I walked in, Cassia rushed forward and wrapped her arms around me. Lee, are you okay? Did Marcel? Did anything? I'm okay, I murmured. It's over. Delphine approached slowly, her eyes shining with something like relief. You did it, she whispered. You did what I never could. No, I said, meeting her gaze. You helped build this. You fought with me. You got your justice too. Her lip trembled. She looked away. Adrienne leaned back in her chair, arms folded. Well, she said dryly, for the record, that went significantly better than I expected. Reed chuckled. You mean none of us ended up in the hospital? Exactly. We all laughed, shaky, tired, emotional. But then Adrienne pointed at the flash drive in my hand. You know what the last step is, right? I nodded. Close the loop. I sat down, opened my laptop, and composed one final email to every client, vendor, and partner we ever worked with. Inside, it was a statement of truth. The fraud, the theft, the manipulation, the evidence, the resolution. When I hit send, a weight lifted from my chest I'd been carrying for months. This wasn't revenge. This was reclamation. That night, standing outside the office, the warm Las Vegas air hit my face like a rebirth. My life wasn't shattered. It was rebuilt. Not by luck, not by running, but by refusing to be erased. I whispered into the night sky, I'm still here. And for the first time in weeks, I felt free.